I've got to say, it takes the most bizarre stupidity, doesn't it, for this country that's so rich in gas to now face running out. In fact, to already be so short of gas, well, just look at the prices today. The price rises that kicked in, nearly 25% more in Victoria, 9% in New South Wales. I mean, how crazy must their politicians be? And the activists and journalists cheering them on. It turns out, as you know now, we can't be this dumb for this long without paying a price. And the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission even predicts that somewhere between 2 years from now and 2034, our southern states will be down to as little as half the gas they need. Half. And that's being optimistic. It says, you know, that depends on the Albanese government somehow managing to get all this bright green energy schemes working like they should. It makes me think, hey, by the way, how's that Snowy 2.0 going? Just for starters. So please save us all from this lunacy. And let me just give you 3 examples of it. Just 3. I've got so many, 3. Of how we've done this to ourselves thanks to our elites' contempt for Western civilization and this new ecstatic love it's found for sort of neo-pagan spirituality. First, take the strife that Santos, a bigger supplier of natural gas, has got right now with its massive $3.6 billion Barossa project to take gas from far out in the Timor Sea and pipe it to Darwin. More gas, we need that, right? But the federal court has banned Santos from drilling because it didn't consult Dennis Tipper-Kalipa, a Tiwi Island traditional owner. But why should it? This Barossa gas field is actually 140 kilometres north of the Tiwi Islands. That's far beyond any canoe ride that most pre-colonial islanders would have ever taken. So you've got to ask, by what odd law must anyone on the Tiwi Islands be consulted? Still, I've got to say, that Santos had been playing ball. I mean, it had already consulted with the Tiwi Land Council and with the Northern Land Council, but the federal court said, whoa, don't forget Tipper-Kalipa, because now you must go and consult him too to protect his spiritual interest. And we all know, spiritual. Here's the second example, again affecting Santos. Santos started exploratory drilling in the Narrabri field in New South Wales a decade ago now, and it found enough gas for half New South Wales gas supplies, which you'd think is great news. Yet a decade later, this project still isn't up and running. Santos has had to get through years of environmental hurdles, then planning hurdles, then court challenges from global warming extremists, and then court challenges from Aboriginal groups, and on and on and on. And so shortage of gas today, big surprise, right? A final example, again, I've got so many, Victoria, which today had gas prices jump by 25% on variable contracts, 25% up. And again, no wonder, because Victoria actually banned onshore exploration for gas for 9 years, global warming, etc., and it still bans fracking for gas. And now, we don't have enough gas? How did that happen? I mean, how can Australia be this stupid? Joining me is National Senator Susan McDonald, the opposition's resources spokesman. And yes, I do ask the Labor Minister, but you know how it goes with them. Susan McDonald, thank you so much for your time. How bad is this gas shortage? I mean, what are we looking at, do you think, in the near future?
Andrew, this is devastating because within 7 months of the last election, Labor told Australians they'd be safe hands, that they would be predictable, that they had an agenda that was clear, and yet this is a sneaky government. This is a sneaky Albanese government that has introduced legislation that is the kind of reverse of a Robin Hood, you know, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. What they're actually doing is stealing from the futures of Australians, Australian workers and Australian prosperity. So they were warned. We were incredibly clear that introducing price caps, a policy that was trialled in Argentina with very predictable results, smashed their industry, that this policy would result in gas shortages. It would result in the power going out, in prices going up, and Australians losing their jobs. Labor's supposed to be a government for workers, and yet that's not what they're doing. They're not protecting Australians or Australian workers or Australian prosperity at all.
It's making, you're so right, it's making gas a luxury product for the poor, and electricity more broadly as well. But Susan McDonald, you're absolutely right, I think, to go for Labor. That price cap has created a kind of strike by gas producers. But I have to say, got to be frank with you, I wonder if we can trust the Liberals to fix this. Now, I know you're a National, but the ban, for instance, on gas exploration in Victoria was actually started by a Liberal state government, although, you know, Labor continued for years. And these delays to the Narrabri project in New South Wales, that's happening under a Liberal state government. And we've only just said goodbye to the Morrison one. So really, don't the Liberals need to get off the fence and start fighting some of these culture wars that are leading to these devastating results?
Oh, well, I think you've seen really clear examples of the coalition being incredibly specific about the need to bring on more supply for gas. So in the last 7 months, when Labor has layered up, they've brought in industrial relations for major projects. They've brought in an EPA, the EPBC, the call-in of 18 projects. You've already touched on the Santos Barossa project. The introduction of greater hurdles for projects to get going means that there are investors. You know, I disagree with your characterisation of a gas producers strike. I think it is gas investors, both domestic and overseas, are just, they're terrified. They don't have the confidence to invest in the Australian resources market. And it won't just be gas.
Oh, look, I didn't mean it maliciously
coal.
so much.
It's now critical minerals.
You're right to clarify.
Yes.
You are absolutely right to clarify there that in part they're frightened. I mean, they've got so much money on the line here, potentially millions of fines if they misinterpret. I got that. But one way or the other, they're going on strike in terms of more gas exploitation. And this is going to be a huge issue. Susan McDonald, thank you so much indeed for your time. Really appreciate it. The Albanese government. It is so